Good morning. It's Tuesday, December 9th. I'm Vincent Fandan, and this is Always Booked Live, your daily briefing to keeping your calendar and your pipeline always booked. On today's show, we're going to be breaking down the tale of two economies showing up this holiday season for holiday shopping, what rising consumer sentiment really means for your booked calendar, and why 1/3 of small business owners still can't find the people that they need to hire. We're also going to look at how franchise owners are being squeezed on pricing, what's happening with healthcare insurance, new SBA compliance rules, and why home sellers are giving up in record numbers. But first, the top 10% of households now control nearly half of all consumer spending. Here's what that means for your business. Let's start with the most important story for service businesses heading into the final weeks of 2025. The holiday shopping season is booming, but not for everyone. Black Friday sales jumped 4.1% this year. Beneath that headline, though, is a split economy that's reshaping who's booking your services and how much they're willing to spend. Two very different groups are driving holiday retail right now, according to the Wall Street Journal. And on one side, you have affluent shoppers who are spending freely on luxury goods, premium services, and high-end experiences. They're barely flinching at higher prices. On the other side, though, middle-income families are slashing routine spending, not just to be able to afford holiday gifts, but hunting aggressively for discounts and relying on buy now, pay later services to be able to bridge the gap. And the data is really striking. The top 10% of households now account for nearly half of consumer spending. And that's a concentration that we haven't seen in decades. Meanwhile, consumers are cutting their holiday budgets by an average of $229 this year. This is the largest drop since the 2008 financial crisis. That's according to Gallup polling. And despite low unemployment, consumer confidence remains at a nearly historic low, creating what economists are calling a K-shaped recovery. This is where the wealthy pull further ahead of everyone else, while everyone else struggles with persistent inflation in essentials like groceries, rent, and healthcare. Here's a quote for you. What we're seeing is a bifurcated market, retail analysts told the Wall Street Journal. High-income consumers are acting like there's no recession, while middle-income shoppers are making painful trade-offs just to be able to participate in this holiday season. So if you're a service business owner, what's the takeaway? The takeaway for service business owners is that the split really matters if you're in a local service business. If you're a med spa, if you're a salon, if you're a fitness studio, if you're a premium wellness provider, your affluent clients are still booking. They're still booking. Your affluent clients are still booking, but your middle tier customers are going to be ghosting you. They're going to be asking for payment plans. And the move here is segmentation. You need to create a clear premium tier for clients who are not price sensitive. And you need to build a value tier, a membership model that lets your cost-conscious clients stay engaged without breaking their budget. If you're an online coach, if you're a course creator, this is your signal to double down on payment plans. It's your signal to double down on installment options and entry-level offers that need to convert browsers into buyers. And if you're a B2B service provider, if you're an agency, you need to expect your SMB clients to scrutinize every single invoice. And so lead with ROI, lead with proof points, lead with flexible payment terms. A CRM connected mobile app or a CRM connected client portal makes it really dead simple to being able to offer tiered pricing. You want to automate your payment reminders, keep clients booking even when their budgets are tight. Still to come, a surprising uptick in consumer sentiment and what it means for your January pipeline this year. Consumer confidence has jumped to 53.3, but don't celebrate yet. Here's what business services need to keep an eye on. Let's turn to a small but meaningful shift in how consumers are feeling about the economy. Consumer sentiment rose to 53.5 in early December. This is up from 51 in November. That's according to a University of Michigan closely watched survey reported by the Wall Street Journal. And that might sound like good news, but the context really matters here. First, consumers are expecting inflation to run at 4.1% over the next year. This is well above the Federal Reserve's 2% target, and it's a persistent drag on the discretionary spending. Second, this modest uptick follows months of disruption, including a government shutdown that rattled confidence earlier this fall. And third, sentiment remains far below pre-pandemic levels. This is signaling that most Americans still feel financially squeezed, even as headline economic data shows growth and low unemployment. Now, the Wall Street Journal notes that the improvement is fragile, heavily dependent on stable gas prices, continued job growth, no new geopolitical or economic shocks. But for service businesses, for local business owners, this creates a really tricky environment for all of us. Consumers still feel slightly better, but they're cautious about big ticket purchases and ongoing commitments. So here's a quote for you. The modest improvement in sentiment doesn't erase the underlying anxiety. Economists told the Wall Street Journal that people are still worried about inflation, especially in this category, but they can't avoid things like food and housing. So if you're a service business owner, what's the takeaway for you? What does this mean for your booking calendar? If you're a local service provider, think like IV therapy, personal training, hair salon, massage therapy, expect your January to be slower unless you're really proactive about it. Consumer sentiment translates into action with 30 to 60-day lags. So this is the time to start pre-selling packages, pre-selling memberships, and a New Year's special to be able to lock in revenue and the uncertainty before this uncertainty kicks in. If you're an online service business owner, like a coach, like a consultant, like a course creator, this is your moment to run a holiday or a year-end campaign with payment plans baked in. Consumers feel slightly better, but they still need flexibility to be able to say yes. And if you're a B2B service, if you're an agency, you need to prepare for tighter budgets in Q1. Your clients are seeing the same sentiment data that you are. They're going to be more cautious. They're going to be signing annual contracts or approving big projects. Those are the things they're going to be anxious about. A mobile app or a connected CRM or a client portal is really critical here. It keeps you top of mind. It automates rebooking. It automates nudges. And it makes it frictionless for your clients to be able to schedule, even if their confidence is shaky. So today's show is brought to you by Viton1. Viton is an AI native platform that turns your CRM or your tools into a custom branded mobile app and client portal. If your clients are bouncing between booking links, between emails, between DMs, Viton1 wraps this all into one place, all into the home screen of their phone so that they can book, rebook, and stay engaged without you chasing them. Now, to see this, how this works for local service business owners, for online experts, B2B experts, head to Viton.com, that's Vyten.com, and request your free strategy session today. All right, let's wrap a story that hits at the heart of what every single service business is dealing with right now. 33% of small business owners can't fill jobs right now, and 26% are thinking about raising their wages just to be able to compete. And finally, paradox is squeezing service businesses across the country. The economy is slowing, consumer confidence is shaky, and yet 1/3 of business owners still can't find qualified workers to be able to fill their open positions. According to the National Federation of Independent Businesses, 33% of small business owners reported unfilled job openings in November. This is up a percentage point from October, and that's not a tight labor market. And so the crisis of quality and fit is happening right now. 21% of owners cited lags in their labor quality as their single most important business problem today. And the frustration is pushing businesses to be able to act. 26% of business owners plan to raise compensation over the next 3 months, up 5 percentage points from the prior month. This is according to NFIB's latest survey. And so this disconnect is really striking. Layoffs are happening at larger companies. Private sector jobs are contracting more overall in November. And yet, Main Street businesses can't find people who are going to show up, stay engaged, and deliver quality work. So for local service business owners, this is where the employee is the product. So think like salons, clinics, gyms, restaurants, agencies. The talent crunch is existential for all of us. If you can't scale, if you can't staff, and you can't maintain quality, if you're constantly training new hires who leave after 3 months. So here's a quote for you, quote, "Small business owners are stuck between a rock and a hard place." That's what NFIB's chief economist said in this report. They need workers to be able to serve customers, but the workers that they can find don't have the skills or they don't stick around. So if you're a service business owner, what does this mean for you? First, if you're a local service business owner, a med spa, a barbershop, a fitness studio, or a clinic, you need to stop competing on wages alone and start competing on culture, start competing on flexibility, start competing on career development. And you want to highlight your commitment to training. You want to offer flexible schedules. That might be employees being able to switch shifts with each other through a mobile app that they can access on their phone. You need to promote from within whenever possible. For online service businesses, for agencies, you need to consider hiring contractors or remote talent from lower cost markets. You don't need someone in your city. And so to deliver coaching, to deliver design work, to deliver virtual bookkeeping, and this holds true for B2B service firms as well. This is your moment to be lean into the automation, lean into AI. If you can't find talent, you need to use the tools that augment your team. And you need to use things like connections with your CRM that powers and automates things like client onboarding, automates things like client follow-up and scheduling so that you can effectively give each of your team members 30% more capacity without necessarily hiring another person. And finally, if you do choose to raise wages, and you probably should, you need to make sure that you're also raising your prices to be able to match this. The worst thing is squeezing your margins to be able to pay more while charging the same, because that becomes unsustainable. Instead, you need to communicate the value that you're delivering, and you need to be able to price for that. And so you want to use things like a mobile app, like a client portal, to be able to make and provide a premium experience that feels seamless and worth every single dollar. All right, 3 quick hits to be able to wrap today with. Quick hit number 1, McDonald's franchisees are about to be judged on one thing. Are they giving customers value? So McDonald's announced a new global franchising standard that's going to evaluate franchise owners on whether they're delivering customer value, whether they're keeping prices competitive. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. So for franchisees that are already being squeezed by raising labor and food costs, this signals a more corporate pressure to hold the line on their pricing or risk losing their franchise agreement altogether. So if you run a franchise or a multi-location service business, the takeaway is pretty clear. Your parent brand or your investors are watching your pricing like a hawk. So you got to make sure that your operational efficiency and your customer experience justifies every single dollar that you charge. Quick hit number 2, the health insurance bill is about to get worse again. So people with the Affordable Care Act or the health insurance through the marketplaces are going to see higher deductibles and premiums in 2026. This is part of the enhanced federal subsidies that face political uncertainty. So the New York Times reports that for small business owners who buy coverage through the ACA market, your employees or have employees that are going to be relying on it, this means that budgeting for higher healthcare costs needs to start next year. If you haven't locked in your 2026 coverage yet, you want to do this now before open enrollment closes. And you need to consider building a healthcare reimbursement arrangement to be able to help employees with a compensation package to offset these rising costs. Third, quick hit number 3, the SBA's 8A program. If you're in the SBA's 8A program, the government wants your financial records now. The Small Business Administration is requiring all participants in the 8A business development program to submit updated documentation. This is according to Homeland Security today. This move affects thousands of small businesses that might rely on federal contracts. And if this means that the federal contracts are reserved for disadvantaged enterprises. So if you're in the program or you're thinking about applying, make sure that your books are clean, make sure that your tax filings are current, and your CRM or your accounting system can produce the reports that the SBA demands, because this is all happening on short notice, and non-compliance could cost you millions in government contracts if you're a part of this program. Last quick hit for the day, home sellers are giving up at the highest rates in years, and it's hitting everybody in the housing economy. Home delistings have surged to 45.5% year to date. Sellers are pulling properties from the market at the fastest pace since 2022. This is according to CNBC and Realtor.com. October alone saw a 38% spike as frustrated sellers had weakening prices and slower buyer demand. And so if you're a real estate agent, if you're a home inspector, if you're a contractor, if you're a stager, or any service that's tied to the housing market, this is the time to be braced for a slower Q1 and to start diversifying your revenue streams now, whether that's offering consulting services, whether that's offering virtual staging, whether that's pivoting into commercial or rental property work. And having a mobile app for your past clients to stay engaged with maintenance tips, with market updates, with easy rebookings can help keep you top of mind even as transactions are drying off. That's it for Always Booked Live today. I'm Vincent Fanvan. We're going to be back here tomorrow with the news and ideas that keep you and your calendar always booked. If you want to check out what a Viton mobile app or what a client portal could look like for your business, head to Viton.com. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you all tomorrow.